right. It's out the way. Oh, hi, Saki. Okay. Well, I don't expect anyone to watch this. Honestly, I just had a whim. I don't have a lot of YouTube content at all. It's all like my chickens or a couple clips of my kids or the private videos. Like I've got some huskies talking. Um, but I recently got this camera, and I thought while I was working on this commission um, that I would just live stream it. So here she is so far. I started her last night. I haven't had a lot of time to work on her because I'm actually sick right now, but she looks kind of wonky because she's not fully positioned and everything, but the pattern, purchased the pattern from Etsy, and it is supposed to be a doll pattern of Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and it's from a small business called Green Frog Crochet, and her instructions are really nice, very detailed. Um, Go step by step. I mean, this is exactly the type of instructions you'd want to purchase. It's very professionally done. I have zero complaints about it. The only complaint I have is more towards myself. I tend to not read ahead or read it thoroughly. I'm like, okay, cool. This is the next row, but I may be missing something key because I'm not really paying attention to the words. I'm just paying attention to the stitch instructions. Which, if anyone eventually watches this and they're a crocheter, SC for single crochet. So if a thing says 9 SC, 2 rounds, and then it has something after it, I ignore it. And after that particular row, it says continue continue crocheting the head after finishing round 41 of the body. And I finished it. I finished the round 41. I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do next? Well, I didn't pay attention. I could have just scrolled down and started working on the head. But round 41 is actually the neck right there. So once you finish round 41, you're right there. Excuse me, there is a message for you. The cool part about this body is it eventually, all gets made into one piece. But you make these arms individually, you make the legs individually, and then you join once you finish with the last leg. These are just color changes. So this is a color change. These are color changes. Fix your feet a little bit better. And then what's interesting is you actually make 3 arms. I keep looking over here because that's where my preview is. But anyway, so you'll actually make 3 arms if you get this pattern. I don't know. I'll link it, and you shove the arm in here, and that is actually an ingenious way. I've never thought about doing this, but it helps provide stability to the head because, as you can see, this is going to be an oversized kind of doll head that sort of pops out at you. But I've just finished around the back on my 13th repeat of these stitches. So I'm going to do that last stitch right now, and I have some stitch markers. If you're a crocheter, you know what these are. Well, let me see what the next step is. Now I start the decreases. And this is in order to sort of round off the head for those of you who don't crochet. I see who texted me. Yep, nobody. Just tell me it's time to clean. All right. So, but yeah, that's just what I'm doing tonight. We're expecting to get some rain where I live. We're actually supposed to get rain all this week, but for whatever reason, we live in the one spot where when the storms come through our zip code, they miss us completely. If they don't miss us completely, then it's a hailstorm and we have to get our roof replaced. So there's that. Let's see. Crocheting. So in case anyone ever does watch this, I first started crocheting in 2012. I taught myself. I actually watched YouTube videos, and it was the funniest thing. I'd have to find it. If I can find it, I'll link it below. But I learned how to crochet from this dude who get a dude, big burly fingers. Burly is burly fingers like a descriptor? Does that work? I don't want to call them sausage fingers because they don't look like sausages to me. They were just burly fingers. Anyway, so I learned from him how to turn because when I was younger, I was able to teach myself how to. Actually, let me see if I can move this camera down so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So let me just pop that down there. So this is my daughter's favorite. It is her little monster. My son had this shirt that had all these different little monster cartoons on it, and they asked me to make them some monster cartoons. Move this over just a little bit. It's not too hard. But asked me to make them some monsters. So I just looked at it. I freehanded them a couple monsters. So you have this one. Then they have one that's like a 2D jellyfish almost. It has some stuffing, and then it has like 13 tentacles. This thing is well over a year old. And man, my daughter would not go to sleep for months unless she had her little monster, which is kind of cute. Kleenex because I'm sick. All right, so here's the head, the dolly. Let's see. Because this is a pattern that I paid for. 3, 1, 2. I'm not going to tell you exactly what I'm doing. But I have to count, which it makes it awkward, right? For live streaming or any sort of video, having to like talk while you're also doing it, which is why I think most people who teach on YouTube on how to crochet, they will be like, okay, so you do X amount of these stitches, and then they cut away, and they're like, okay, so you've done X amount of stitches, because it's awkward. You end up with a lot of just dead silence because they're trying to count. They know you don't want to hear them count. They might crochet faster or slower than you. They just cut it, and that's a great way to do it. That's how I've learned. But now I have to figure out because I'm not counting out loud, and because I'm trying to talk about other things, it's messing up my internal count. Go figure. Anyway, 3. So yeah, I started crocheting in 2012. No, it was sooner than that, wasn't it? 2014. I'd actually just gotten out of the Army. I finished my active duty contract, so I went into the inactive ready reserves. So, like, okay, if any of you guys are thinking about going into the United States military, at least with the Army, you generally, unless you have some sort of special contract, your contract is going to be 8 years long. And you can do that a couple different ways. You can do part of it active and part of it in the active reserves is what I like to call it, meaning you actively drill on the weekends and so forth, but you only do that for however many years you have left in your contract. Then you have what I did, and you can wait until your ETSing, which is your end of your term of contract, your term of service. You can wait until you ETS to make your decision. But my knees were effed up. My shoulder was effed up. I mean, I just had a whole lot of problems. And I was like, my body can't do this anymore. Which is probably one of the reasons why I'm bigger now. I'm working on it. But yeah, so I picked the IRR, which is the individual ready reserves, which just means, inactive ready reserves. Sorry. Which just means you don't actively drill. You just sit there, and if they ever need your specific MOS again, that if there's wartime or whatever, they'll call you up, and this is what you got to do. But I was lucky. I had a dead MOS. They were merging my MOS with another MOS to make a new MOS. MOS, for those of you who don't know, is military operational specialty. So it's what you go to. Okay. Go to your recruiter or however you get into the military, right? Go to basic training. before you go to basic training, after you've seen your recruiter, you go to MEPS generally. This is all generally speaking. Everyone's going to have it a little bit different. But for the most part, it's generally like this. But you go to MEPS, which is the military enlistment processing, whatever it is, system. I don't know. I can look it up, but I'm lazy. But basically, it's the military enlisting processing system. There we go. And that's when you take the ASVAB, which is the Armed Service Vocational Aptitude Battery. So it's just a test. It's like the SATs, the ACTs, and you get tested on a wide variety of different things. And then whatever it is that you're really, really good at, it will pop up. So like if you're really good at maybe engineering or something like that, they'll know, and then your score will be used. Your score in those different categories, and then your overall will be used to assess what type of jobs you qualify for in the military. There is a message for you. Oh, that's my son's godmother. But anyway, so I should probably answer her back. She's wondering if I'm still sick, and I am. We've been, my daughter's been sick. It's Monday of last week. We had her, well, Sunday of last week. So it's been a trying period. But she negative for COVID, negative for flu. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that word. Whoops. Oh, well. Anyway, yeah, but she couldn't go to her first day of school. She couldn't go to her second day of school. She went to her third day of school because we were told by the doctor she wouldn't be contagious after 24 hours of having her medicine. And then my son got sick with the same thing. So pulled them both from school because I'm like, I'm not going to be that mom. There's a message for you. I heard you. I'm not going to be that mom. And then I ended up getting sick a few days later after I took my son in, and that doctor told me, it's just allergies. He'll be fine. And they tested him for flu and C19. And he was negative for both, but it's upper respiratory infection. She said it was allergies. It's not allergies. It's because I got it. I got it 2 days later. I was out all weekend, just absolutely miserable. Anyway, so military. Sorry, off on a sidetrack. Military. So you get offered a bunch of different MOSs, and when I joined, they were having trouble filling certain jobs that require a certain ASVAB score of a certain amount or higher. So while I wanted to do finance, I wasn't dumb enough to do finance, and they had me working on. They offered me a really nice one, which had a good signing bonus, and it was, the microwave radar dishes. So that's what I signed up to do. I would operate and maintain them, and I actually got to work with the ones who did the satellite radar dishes instead, which was really cool. I mean, it was really neat. But we ended up with kind of a special person in leadership who decided that women shouldn't work with men, and made me and the other women who were working on the satellite dishes, made us move over to another section. Okay, I should rephrase. Women should not work with men on shift work because things can happen. But it's like, well, the other unit, who was our sister unit, also did that. So it's like, okay, whatever happened. But it was just like, really, lady. Anyway, so I had to learn a whole other new job. And while I was in the military, I worked on my degree for accounting. But yeah, so boy, this whole conversation started because I was talking about when I started crocheting. I started crocheting in 2014 after I finished my active duty part of the military, and I was waiting for my husband to finish his active duty part so we could move to the state where we wanted to live once he got out. So we ended up doing that. And I've just been crocheting ever since. It's been 8 years. 3, 6. Yeah. It's been 8 years since I've been crocheting, and I've gotten pretty good. I mean, Hey, honey. I'm streaming crocheting to myself. What's up?